Hello, guys, and welcome. So now, guys, there are fewer people in life more despicable than a politician. The only person more despicable than a politician is a hungry politician. But I'll explain. So let's kick it off. Watch this. Watch this.
I will never support a dictatorship. I suffered under dictatorship. I was in detention. I was in exile for 3 years. I will never. Dictatorship has no way in my books. So once you begin to demonstrate dictatorship,
So in your books, Bola Tinubu is a dictator.
he is a potential dictator. Let me use that word.
And that is the spirit of your articles.
The spirit of my article was an academic exercise. There was nowhere I disparaged him. But because Festus Keyamo is always an attack dog, he likes to yell. Even when he's in court, he's yelling. I don't know where he got that kind of training from. So when he's talking, he doesn't know how to calm down. He's my buru. He's someone we've been very close. But the moment they gave him this job,
All right, so that was Dele Momodu, of course, unmistakably the large torso of Dele Momodu. So that was Dele Momodu telling us then that Tinubu, a dictator or a potential dictator. So Dele Momodu, of course, he one of the spokespersons in the media spaces of the Atiku campaign, of the PDP campaign. So that was Dele Momodu inviting us to believe that Tinubu is a dictator, but he, of course, has a relationship with Tinubu, so he's probably in a better place to know that than most. So he said that. Let me also bring you this article that is wrapped around Dele Momodu and his relationship with Tinubu. So I'll share the screen and then I'll read through for you. So here it is. Why I am opposing Tinubu Dele Momodu. So that's Dele Momodu. Why he's opposing Tinubu? I have not read this myself, so we're coming across it both together at the same time. The Director of Communications for the People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council, Dele Momodu, gave his reasons for opposing the candidacy of the All Progressive Congress standard bearer, Bola Tinubu. Momodu, in a statement on Tuesday, said he loved the man Tinubu, but disagreed with Tinubu, the politician. So he disagrees with Tinubu, the politician. He claimed that Tinubu had declined over the years, adding that he was no longer a man of the people and that his allies could not tell him this truth for pecuniary gains. Now, Momodu, in his statement titled Festus Keyamo and His Erratic Vituperation, also took a swipe at the APC campaign spokesperson Keyamo, who had earlier written a piece concerning Momodu, where he said the latter was executing a cheap hatchet job to impress his paymaster whilst tackling the APC. I have just read Festus Keyamo's response to my critique of the APC manifesto of lies. I am not surprised that all he could do was to yell as usual without examining or practically addressing the content of my article. Unfortunately, he picked on a wrong customer. Let me take a few minutes to educate this young friend of mine who has since become a shadow of his old self since he was offered an appointment that makes him look so incompetent by President Major General Buhari. What did Festus say I did wrong? He quoted copiously from an article I wrote 2 years ago, which the Tinubu media team has been using to campaign endlessly because they have no stronger voice of their own. I am indeed flattered. There is no doubt that I love Tinubu the man, but I disagree vehemently with Tinubu the politician. This is not the first time I will say it publicly. Since I now have the opportunity of presenting the bones of my disagreement with Tinubu, courtesy of Keyamo, I will lay them bare. So he lays them bare. So now let's now see what his beef is with Tinubu. Tinubu has declined in the last few years. I used to see him as a man of his people, but no supposed generalizimo. I don't know why they used that word in the Nigerian space. Tinubu has declined over the last few years. I used to see him as a man of his people, but no supposed generalizimo would ever abandon his people in the days of trouble and tribulation. None of the people around him could tell him the truth for pecuniary reasons, Momodu said. Momodu claimed that Tinubu wanted presidency by all means, even after losing many of his foot soldiers. He knows it himself, but he desperately wants to be president of Nigeria by fire, by force, after he has lost most of his formidable foot soldiers and now relying on outsiders to activate and actualize his lifelong ambition for him, which is his legitimate right. But Nigerians have the right to scrutinize his actions, especially his action plans. But Nigerians have the right to scrutinize his action plans. When he was governor, I supported him from the distance while he surrounded himself with some people who pretended to love him. When he was busy distributing land to journalists in Lagos, I refused to collect my papers because I loved my freedom. The reason I was able to tell him the truth regularly. When he was to be impeached for some infraction, and many of his so-called loyalists were washing their hands of him, like the biblical Pontius Pilate, my very dear friend Tokunbo Afikunyomi stood by him like the rock of Gibraltar or the rock of Gibraltar. The article Okowa spokesperson said Tinubu's biggest sin was the fact that he went silent when the APC became totally a hopeless case, just because he was hoping to inherit Buhari's structure. Lastly, I hope he would have the energy to make himself available for a rigorous scrutiny of his manifesto. He wants to renew what actually he wants to turn Nigeria into another Lagos. Many of those who love him genuinely know that the mythification process has started, he said. So that is it, a slaughter job. But then, of course, that wasn't always, so let me remove that from the screen. But then, of course, that wasn't always, or that remains not the sole view that Dele Momodu has on Tinubu. So just to recap what he said in that piece, Tinubu has lost all of his foot soldiers, but on his monitoring team, you have people like Fashola, etc. So I'm not quite sure if he's lost all of them, because I know Fashola is on board. He said Tinubu has debilitated over the years. I said that, but then that wasn't his view just a couple of weeks ago. So somebody like Dele Momodu, of course, is whoever is feeding him, and you see that he needs a lot of feeding. But watch this. He needs a lot of feeding, but watch this. And I said whoever feeds him is who he sings the praise of. So this was Dele Momodu on Tinubu just a few weeks ago. And let it resonate at the back of your mind that he told us that Tinubu had declined over years. But this was his view a few weeks ago.
To be a presidential candidate, you must have been doing the work for 30 years. It's not an overnight thing. You must build bridges. People must know you, you must know them, one-on-one. And this is what Asiwaju has done. I can tell you for free that if he gets the ticket of his party, and I've always maintained that, if he gets the ticket of APC, it will be difficult for anybody to stop him. It will be very difficult because he has been able to. So those who are building, attacking, I told them, go and build your own candidates. People should learn how to be democratic. The meaning of democracy is that everybody has a chance. They will say he's old, he's young, he's sick, he's this. It means nothing. There was nothing they didn't throw at Donald Trump in America. He became American president. So it's up to the people who don't want him to make sure that they find a better alternative, and that will be in PDP anyway. Because if he gets the ticket of APC, and don't forget that APC is currently in power, when he combines the humongous power of incumbency with his own personal charisma
is going to be unstoppable.
And there he is right there, the fat torso, the large torso of Dele Momodu. When he combines the power of incumbency with his own large charisma, Tinubu is unstoppable. That was just a couple of days before the presidential primaries of the APC, which was barely 4 months ago. Fast forward 4 months later, and let's listen to Dele Momodu again. Just listen to this. This is within a period of 6 months. So actually, with your permission, I'm going to play the two videos in sequence. So I'll play this one that you just listened to again, where he was telling us that, well, let him tell you. So I'll play this and then I'll play that immediately. And then you draw the contrast. And I'm only now telling you just to note that this was within just the period of 6 months before and after. So before this guy was being having dollars shoved in his mouth by the first one was before Dele Momodu was having dollars shoved in his mouth by Atiku Abubakar, and the next one was after Dele Momodu started having dollars shoved in his mouth by Atiku. So before the dollar shoving in the mouth, this is what he thought of Tinubu.
To be a presidential candidate, you must have been doing the work for 30 years. It's not an overnight thing. You must build bridges. People must know you. You must know them one-on-one. And this is what Asiwaju has done. I can tell you for free that if he gets the ticket of his party, and I've always maintained that, if he gets the ticket of APC, it will be difficult for anybody to stop him. It will be very difficult because he has been able to. So those who are building, attacking, I told them, go and build your own candidates. People should learn how to be democratic. The meaning of democracy is that everybody has a chance. They will say he's old, he's young, he's sick, he's this. It means nothing. There was nothing they didn't throw at Donald Trump in America. He became American president. So it's up to the people who don't want him to make sure that they find a better alternative, and that will be in PDP anyway. Because if he gets the ticket of APC, and don't forget that APC is currently in power, when he combines the humongous power of incumbency with his own personal charisma, is going to be unstoppable.
And there he is. 6 months ago, he's going to be unstoppable. And that was, of course, as I said, before the dollars were being shoved. And from the frame of Dele Momodu, it consumes a lot of dollars. So plentiful dollars now being shoved in his mouth by Atiku. Now he's telling us that Tinubu has been in physical and cranial decline for years and years. So that was before the dollars. Now listen to this after the dollars shoving in the mouth.
I will never support a dictatorship. I suffered under dictatorship. I was in detention. I was in exile for 3 years. I will never. Dictatorship has no way in my books. So once you begin to demonstrate dictatorship,
so in your books, Bola Tinubu is a dictator.
He is a potential dictator. Let me use that word.
And that is the spirit of your articles.
The spirit of my article was an academic exercise. There was nowhere I disparaged him. But because Festus Keyamo is always an attack dog, he likes to yell, even when he's in court.
And there it is right there. Need I add any more? Need I add any more? So as I started off, so I will round off. There is no one in life more despicable than a politician, and the worst of that bunch of the smells from that space, the smelliest of that smelly bunch of despicable politicians is a hungry politician. That's the case in point. So that's the case in point. So come tell me what you've made of this video in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry the conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.